Hey guys, and welcome to or back to the Pause and Pursuit podcast with your host, Summer Clark. Happy June, just saying that is insane. Like, why and how is it June already? That is crazy. I'm not feeling the summertime vibes. It doesn't feel like summer really right now. It's been chucking it down all day today. But anyway, it is June. It is the first Wednesday of June, which means it is Q&A time. So today I will be answering your Q&As that I asked you guys to send me, your questions that I asked you guys to send me over on Instagram stories on Sunday, including summer plans, alternative breeds, making connections, and more. So before we get into it, I will give you my weekly recap real quick. Now, there's not tons and tons and tons that went on, but we did have Hinkley. So Hinkley Champ didn't go great, but it didn't go terribly. Could have gone better, but it could have gone worse, if that makes sense. So Champ Day on Saturday I was kind of just a bit deflated from the get-go because the lines and distances of the Champ courses just didn't suit Arrow. I knew that when I walked it, I knew we'd struggle. But that is just how agility goes sometimes. You do have to just deal with the course that is in front of you. Either that or don't run it, as I always say. So we did come third in Champ Agility, but I'm pretty sure he missed his dog walk contact, which I expected as it did require a directional, and I haven't taught turns, as you all know. And there was just very, very little room after it for him to turn properly. He then actually turned the wrong way after 14, so after the jump, after the dog walk, because I think he thought we were finished, to be honest, but I did manage to save it. And we did end up going, quote unquote, clear and coming third. Most importantly, his seesaw was absolute perfection in that Champ run. Literally couldn't have been any happier with it. I obviously didn't hold him on it for very long because it was Champ Agility, but yeah, it was flawless. But yeah, I'm pretty sure he missed his dog walk in that. But anyway, he listened really well and he tried hard. He then took the backside of 14, which was meant to be a face side of a jump in Champ Jumping, as he really struggled with that line. There was just a really just bizarre as in, Ethel would have suited it perfectly, but Arrow, he just ended up landing on the wrong line. Like, the long jump was facing the complete other way to where the dog was actually meant to go. So the dog was meant to go over the face side, and it was facing, like, not even just to the backside, like, completely the other way. So they had to really, like, come in for that after landing so long on the long jump. And he just didn't manage to, really, and I didn't even really know what to cue for it. Like, if you watch, you can't watch the video. Oh, is the video on there? Yes, it is. If you watch the video, you will see what I mean. The long jump section. And a lot of dogs did struggle with that. So hop on over to my social media and give the Champ Jumping run a watch. It is on my Hinkley Champ post, the first one from Saturday, and it is the second video. But yeah, just a bit bizarre, but it is what it is. It just is like that sometimes. For Arrow, that line just was tricky, and he just didn't quite have the distance to correct himself on it and ended up going around the backside. But the rest of the run was perfect, and he was trying super hard for me. But yeah, shout out to Max Glover, RGB Teamy, for taking the medium ticket that day. So happy for you. And then on that day also, I can't forget to mention that Arrow won combined 3 to 7 jumping. And again, it was a really it was a super fast, spacious, blasty course, which was a nice kind of way to break up those Champ runs, especially on the courses that were more, tight and didn't suit us. So yeah, really, really happy with him there. He was rocketing. Then day 2 of Hinkley was singles day, which did not go our way, but we did manage to finish 8th out of 72 in the KC Stakes with a 4-second seesaw hold, as we've already qualified. So I was like, perfect opportunity to train his seesaw, and it was seesaw finish. And often that is when, like in the Champ final at Vine, he knows it's the end of the run and he's like, oh my God, treat time, and he just flies. Well, he stopped perfectly on it in the 4-on position, and I just held him there for 4 seconds, released him, and he still managed to come 8th, which I didn't expect to be anywhere in the places because obviously I was just using it as a training run. But yeah, so that was a cute surprise. But yeah, all of his runs that day, there was some really good work in his other runs. But yeah, overall for Hinckley, super chuffed because he stopped on all of his seesaws this weekend, all 4, and all super deep as well. He's not stopping short anymore, which was another one of our problems. We seem to have hopefully cracked it. Now, I'm not saying this is going to be permanent. I'm sure we'll have a bit of regression at some point because, again, that is just how agility goes, as is life. But yeah, really, really pleased with his seesaws during Hinckley. There is nothing quite like watching your hard work paying off, you know, all that criteria enforcement in the ring and stuff like that, finally paying off. Basically, we're just waiting on a little bit of luck now for it all to come together in the right runs to get, you know, those champ victories and those singles victories and stuff, but we will keep plugging away as we do. EO update, 44 days to go, which is absolutely insane. 44 days until the actual event, and even less until we actually leave. We leave for Portugal in 36 days, and the actual event is in 44 days, which is wild. I'm using my little countdown app now, and also on there is my stress fracture diagnosis, which was 238 days ago. That is wild. So wild. Time does really fly. Even when it feels like it's going really slowly, it actually does fly. So I will stop waffling on now, and I will get on to your guys' questions. So as usual, 15 questions that I will answer for you guys today, starting with number 1, which is, where are your next judging appointments? We want a summer course. Thank you. You'll be sad to hear that I only have one actually lined up, and that is Whirlwind on Sunday the 15th of June. I'm competing there the Saturday and then judging on the Sunday. But that is the only judging appointment that I've got booked in at the moment. I've had a lot of requests for other shows over the summer, but I'm just competing at everything. Do you know what I mean? Like, competing, obviously, is always going to be my priority. And stuff like Axtane, KCI, I was asked, stuff like that. There's something on each day that I want to compete in. Like, either champ or qualifiers. I just realised I lied. I do have another judging appointment. Dogs in Need. Dogs in Need on the Wednesday of Dogs in Need. How could I forget? It's because I only just sent the contract like 2 days ago. But yeah, Dogs in Need on the Wednesday of Dogs in Need. Obviously, I'll be there the whole week, but I'll just be judging on the Wednesday. I kind of like the idea of judging at Dogs in Need because it's a very long week of agility, and having a day where I'm not running just kind of helps break it up. Last year, it was EO, KCI, Dogs in Need back to back, and I died. It was a lot. It was probably too much in one go, especially living out of a tent for that long, and the exhaustion of competing almost every day of that. So yeah, I thought judging at Dogs in Need would be a fun way to kind of break up the week, do a bit something different, give Ara a break, not me a break, but give me a break from running. So yeah, Whirlwind on Sunday the 15th of June and Dogs in Need on the Wednesday of Dogs in Need. Can't remember the exact date, but it is on AgilityNet. And Plaza, I'm pretty sure. Is it Plaza, Dogs in Need? I'm not sure, but it's on AgilityNet in August. So go check that out. I think it's August. Is Dogs in Need August? But anyway, yeah. So I know not everyone goes to Dogs in Need, but I've done it for the past, I don't even know. I've done it for a lot of years, basically, and I enjoy it. It is very fun. It literally does feel like a holiday, so I would highly recommend. And that is all my judging appointments. Obviously, I'll be judging, well, not obviously, but hopefully I'll be judging again throughout the winter at Inspire, but I know that's a while away. But summer-wise, yeah, not too many plans. Question number 2, what is your summer agility schedule looking like? So at the moment, I only have planned up to EO. After EO is still a bit uncertain, but at the moment, I know I'm doing Thames, Whirlwind, Axtane, Point Zero, which has the GB International Qualifier, RVA, and then obviously EO. So that is what my summer agility schedule is currently looking like. After EO is pending. I haven't actually thought that far ahead yet. And I'm not going to start now because CBA don't want that much information in my brain. But yeah, so lots of exciting things coming up, including 3 champs. So hoping for a little bit more luck, please. And singles is obviously a lot of these as well. So we just keep plugging away, we just keep plugging away. Someone says, what has your EO prep looked like so far? Great question. Honestly, very normal. It's involved my normal weekly group training, which I do a 1.5 hour group training session every Wednesday. Competing as much as possible. And again, that sounds bad, not overdoing it, but making sure that we're out there competing pretty much every weekend, at least one day, because as I've said so many times on this podcast and everywhere else that I yap, Arrow is so much better the more he does. So we've been making sure to get those competitions in. Enforcing criteria in the ring, big one, especially the seesaw. As you guys probably saw, the VAR is now being used at EO to help judge seesaws that the judge is like, oh, that was very close. So if they're unsure, they can look back at the VAR and see whether the dog actually gets it or not. As to whether it gets 5. So they are very strict on that. And obviously Arrow has had a bit of an issue with the seesaw, or a lot of an issue with the seesaw. So yeah, lots and lots of enforcing that criteria in the ring. That's been huge with EO as our main priority. And then obviously just normal fitness maintenance for both me and Arrow. So I've been gymming as normal, stretching, walking. Arrow has been obviously walking, training. His agility keeps him fit, obviously, doing his physio exercises, going to his monthly physio appointments with Megan. I've also been having osteo appointments for my back, and, my back kind of gets a bit tight. My hip flexors get a bit tight, so I've been having osteo appointments just to keep those nice and supple to make sure, we don't want that tightness building up. So that is pretty much what we've been doing. Nothing extreme, nothing too out of the ordinary. Again, you kind of have to think, if it's not broke, don't fix it. And what we're doing at the moment is working. So we are kind of just doing the same old things. Do you think other breeds stand a chance in large against collies? This is a controversial, well, I don't know if it's controversial, but Mallees, yes, definitely. I've seen a lot of Mallees that are faster than collies in large. However, honestly, personally, I think other large breeds will struggle against collies at the top level of the sport. So, when you're in the 6, 7, well, probably 5 to 7 level, whether you're looking to qualify for, Crufts, GB, any of that sort of higher level of the sport, I think they'll struggle. But, at the maybe lower level of the sport, or, in the beginner world of the sport, I think absolutely. Any large breeds can do well. And again, everyone's idea of success is different. So it depends what you want to achieve with your non-collie breed. But top level wise, I don't think they stand much of a chance long term. Again, never say never. But from what I've seen, I just haven't seen a lot of that happen. But just in the general sport, I think they can do really, really well. And in fact, an exception to the rule is Nia Rose. I've had her on the podcast before, and Farley, her Labrador, and she's done exceptionally well at the top level of junior agility. She's represented junior Team GB, I know, and Team England for juniors at WAO. Team Wales, I believe she is. So she's done super well with her Labrador. So it is absolutely possible. It just depends what you're trying to achieve, if that makes sense. Main arena at Crufts, Team GB, adult, stuff like that. You'll probably struggle, but, just general agility, getting up the grades, earning warrants, stuff like that. Absolutely. Why not? I actually love to see non-collie breeds competing. I would absolutely go for it. See what you can achieve. I also like to say, I always say, that agility is about getting the best out of your dog, whatever your dog is capable of, just knowing that you've reached their potential. And to me, that is how to feel like I've been, that's how I measure success. Am I unleashing this dog's full potential? By the end of each dog's career, I want to think, their potential was reached. I couldn't have got any more out of this individual dog, no matter whether they beat others in their height or whatever, if that makes sense. What are yours and Arrow's warm-up and cool-down routines? So my warm-up includes movements such as ankle rotations, calf raises, hip openers, leg swings, squats, jumping on the spot, running on the spot, jogging, sprinting. So I'll jog and sprint in a straight line and then kind of decel at the end, and then turn around quickly and sprint or jog back. And then that's kind of my lower body. And then for upper body, which again, I never used to warm up or cool down my upper body because I was like, well, I'm just running. But actually, if you think about it, your upper body is actually doing a lot of work while you're doing agility. Just when you're running in general, you're using your arms to, you're pumping your arms to kind of help propel yourself forward and build a bit of momentum. You're pointing, you're moving your arm up and down, and moving your arms to handle your dog, essentially. You are doing a lot of like looking over your shoulder. So that'll be, twisting your neck, shoulder blades, stuff like that. So you are actually doing a lot of upper body movement. So I'd really suggest you guys think about that and do some warm-ups for your upper body. A few weeks ago when I was training, I hired the field at Lucy's field and I was training. And at the end of it, every time I breathed in, the underneath of my right shoulder blade, just like sharp pain. I was like, what is going on? Please say I'm not injured again. It wore off in a few days, probably about a week actually. I went to see an osteo and he fiddled with it and stuff like that. My usual osteo, that is. And yeah, I think it was tight and I hadn't warmed it up, and I was doing a lot of dog walks where I was getting ahead of Arrow, so I think I was craning my neck and looking round while obviously lifting my arm up, which is a very unnatural, bizarre position really for the human body to be in. So since then, I have been warming up my upper body, doing things like shoulder rotations and arm swings. You've probably seen me do those things before a run. Arrow's warm up. Oh, actually, that's another thing. If people are interested, I can do a video, so a little reel of my warm up routine. If people would like to actually see that, I mean, you probably all see me at shows doing it, but more in depth and something you can kind of watch back and refer back to. So if you'd like to see that, please let me know. Arrow's warm up, saying that I'll probably just do it anyway, lol. Arrow's warm up, slow circles, so treat on the nose and slowly circling in tight circles in both directions. Fast spins, so just his normal lefts and rights. Leg weaves, sit to stand, down to stand, circling around me. Nose touch, jogging, so he'll jog with me. Sprinting, same thing, sprinting up and down, he'll come with me. And then muscle rubs, so just, really getting the blood flow into his muscles by rubbing his muscles, rubbing, his skin, rubbing him up and down, just getting the blood circulating. You probably all know what I mean by that. So that's his warm-up. Cool down. Our cool down is pretty much just a walk after our run. So we'll walk around for 5-10 minutes, starting off at a faster pace walking and then slowing down the pace of that walk until we are back at the van. So that's not walking straight back to the van. That's having a walk, walking around until we are cool, and then going back to the van and ending with a slow walk when we reach by the time we've reached the van, if that makes sense. If I'm feeling extra tight, I will take my legs through 5 simple stretches, if I feel like I need to, but often that walk is enough to really loosen off my legs. The stretches I do are, your usual lunges. I don't actually know the names of them, but again, if that's something that you would like me to do, I could put those in a video of the cool down stretches that I do. But, you probably all know the kind of stretches you do for your lower body and upper body, to be fair. Your quad stretch, your glute stretch, your hamstring stretch, your calf stretch. What else is there? I do my hip flexor stretch, and then obviously your upper body stretch. So stretching your arms, shoulders, biceps, triceps, stuff like that. So I'll do those stretches if I feel it's necessary, but the main bulk of our warm-up, cool down is just that walk. What are your top tips for a partnership who are brand new to agility and want to compete? Oh, my voice broke. Find an in-person or online trainer or coach to guide you. Huge. Lucy has been such a huge support system for me since I started with her when I had Ethel, and I'm still training with her today. Not just the training she offers me and the knowledge, but also and the instruction, but also just being a support system, being a sounding board, someone you trust to talk to about issues you're having, struggles you're going through. So yeah, finding an in-person trainer, or if you can't find an in-person trainer near you that's suitable, that, you know, you and your dog click with, then an online coach is the next best option. And there is a lot you can get from that. Speak to people who currently compete in the sport. So again, just open up those conversations with people who compete, and they can tell you a bit about it. They can tell you their experience, you know, give you some tips, stuff to watch out for, stuff to work on, you know, to get yourself ready to compete in that environment and stuff like that. Spectate at competitions as well. There is no way to really understand the atmosphere and the vibes of a competition until you actually go to one. So go as a spectator to a few shows first. Start with small ones and then spectate at larger ones. And then obviously when you first compete, do the same. Compete at smaller ones and then at larger ones. You don't want to throw yourself in the deep end and overwhelm yourself straight away. Start working on improving yours and your dog's fitness. So this will go a long way if you start now. You know, I'm not going to tell you how to do that. Everyone is completely different. But yes, start working on yourself and your dog's fitness, because that will really, really benefit you and make competing way easier and way more seamless when you do start. Nail the foundations. This is huge. Don't rush your training. Don't rush into the quote unquote sexy stuff and all the fancy skills. Just get those foundations nailed in training. And then, you know, it's so much easier once you've got them nailed to move on to the more exciting, complex maneuvers, because you've nailed those foundations. So yes, they may seem boring, although I love foundation training, but some people may find it boring, but it is so necessary. And trust me, do not rush your training. Do not rush your training because you think, oh, I want to compete as soon as possible because I'm just so excited. The more time you spend training, implementing those basics and nailing those foundations, the more success you will have and the easier you will find competing when you actually do begin. How do you make lasting connections within the agility community? This is a good question and a very interesting one. I would say put yourself out there and approach people first. Often everyone is a little bit nervous. I was about to say antisocial, not antisocial, but, you know, a bit nervous of approaching other people just out of the blue. So just put yourself out there, you know, approach someone first, be the first to strike up a conversation. And if you do that, then you will probably find that they, you know, are really happy that you did, and they're more than happy to, you know, continue having a conversation with you. And stay open-minded during those conversations. So, you know, everyone has their own opinions and beliefs, but stay open-minded when you're talking to other people. Try and, you know, understand their viewpoint and learn from them and stuff like that. It really helps. You don't want to be closed off and stuck in your ways, especially when you're trying to meet new people, make new connections. Make sure to stay authentic to yourself, and this way you will connect with the right people. So it's no good pretending you're someone you're not because you think these certain people will prefer that, or, you know, want to be friends with you or talk to you because of that. Like, if that's not actually who you are and what you're like, you know, it's you just can't live like that. So just be you, and then you will make the right connections and have the right group around you in the long term. Use social media to connect with people first. So again, if you're a bit nervous to talk to people straight away in person, use social media. Like, literally every agility person is on social media, whether that's Facebook or Instagram or TikTok even, or even YouTube. Just reach out, you know, slide into those DMs, ask them a question, just, you know, express your interest in their dog, or, you know, say, hey, it'd be nice to meet up at a show. I really love your dog, or, you know, you're a great handler, or anything like that. And that brings me to the next thing, which is find common ground. So maybe you have the same breed of dog as someone. Maybe you go to the same show, which is every month, and compliment people on their runs or their handling or their dog. People really appreciate that, especially if, you know, if they've had a tricky journey with their dog, if their dog's been difficult to train. You know, I know from getting compliments on my, you know, on Arrow's progress, on my runs, on my handling, it means a lot. And it's just really, really nice, and you feel good giving compliments too. And then last thing, which I'm still working on because I have a mad resting bitch face. I look like I want to kill someone. That's just my face. Apparently I always look like I'm on a mission. I can't help it. But try to smile and appear approachable. I generally have to consciously try and do this when I'm in public because my default, for some reason, is a resting bitch face. That's just literally my default appearance for whatever reason. I've always been like that, even as a small child. But yeah, try to just, stay open, be approachable, put yourself out there. And yeah, it will, again, the more you put yourself out there into those social situations, the easier it will be. How do you maintain a positive mindset after walking a course that you know doesn't suit you? This is very hard and happened at Hinckley, but you've just got to remember that you may as well just let go of the uncontrollables. What can you do about it? There is nothing you can do about it. And remember that you can only ever do your best on the course that is set in front of you. You can't change that course, okay? You either run it and do your best on it, or you don't run it. There is nothing else you can do, and being negative will literally not solve anything. It's fine to, accept and say, yeah, this is really not for my dog. And, it's okay to be disappointed about that and express that, especially if it's something like champ or singles. But after that, you can just kind of go, oh, you know what? Doesn't suit my dog. The line wasn't great for my dog, or before you go into it, it's, this is going to be a challenge for me and my dog, but we're going to give it our best. And then if it doesn't go your way, coming out and saying, yeah, this is why this happened. I expected this to happen. Next course at the next show will be better and more suited to my dog, because, you're always going to get 50-50. Some courses suit you, some don't. Like Arrow and Ethel, for example. Some courses are Ethel courses and then the other 50% are Arrow courses. That's just how it is. Kind of ironic that, well, not ironic, but I can kind of say that because Ethel and Arrow are complete opposites. And a lot of, say a boxy British style course versus a European style course. Ethel, boxy British style course. Arrow, European style course, It's just how it goes, okay? And you've got to maintain that you win some, you lose some mindset, and literally accept this as fact, because it is. You win some, you lose some is a fact. I wouldn't go as far as to say a scientific fact, but everyone who's competed ever in anything has never lost all of them and has never won all of them unless they've only just started, if that makes sense. So just remember that. You literally, some shows you are going to go to and it all goes tits up, and it's just not your day for whatever reason, whether that's the courses or another reason. But then just remember there's another show on the horizon where you will have great results and a great time, and the courses will be absolutely wonderful for you and your dog. And yeah. And last of all, if it's that bad, don't run it. You don't have to run it. If you think it's that unsuitable that it might be unsafe or you'll just hate it, then just don't run it. I know that's hard, and I know that's hard when it's champ or singles or something important, but you that is in your control, whether you run it or not, okay? Someone says, I find sacrificing a potential win to enforce criteria extremely challenging. How do I overcome this? You seem to have nailed it. This hasn't always been really, really easy, but I think what's made me so good at it now is that I have bigger goals to think about. For example, EO, champ, crufts, stuff like that, so that the normal, quote unquote, normal runs feel like nothing in comparison. That's just the stage I'm at. You've just got to expand your perspective and think of the bigger picture. So visualize what you want to achieve out of consistently enforcing that criteria. For example, I want a reliable seesaw that I don't dread at the start of every run. So because I want that outcome so bad, what I have to do to get to it, which is sacrificing potential wins to enforce criteria, is worth it. Another example is you want success at a certain event. So for me, EO could just be the competition you have in a month, or in 2 months. Think about how it'd feel to have the success at that event, and then enforcing the criteria now and sacrificing potential wins now feels a lot more worthwhile. And then understand the basic principles of dog training, really, and accept that enforcing criteria is literally scientifically how dogs learn. That is how they're going to learn. That just is how the brain works. So if you want your dog to learn how to do something properly in the competition ring, you're just going to have to do it. Like, there is no quick fix. There is no way around it. There is no way to do it and still win the class. Like, well, I suppose if there's not that many dogs in the class and your dog's shit hot and really, really fast and you hold your seesaw for 5 seconds, then you could potentially still win it. But generally, you've got to accept that's not going to happen if you're going to enforce criteria. For example, in stakes, I came 8th. I could have come top 3 easily if I hadn't have held this seesaw, but I was like, well, I've already qualified for stakes. You know, if I hadn't qualified, it'd be a different thing. But again, it's priorities. So to me, that was just a normal run. So I was like, I don't need to win this as much as it feels nice for us when we do, doesn't it? It's a little boost and it's exciting, but I don't need this. What I need is to get a good seesaw before EO. Okay? So, yeah. Kind of just have to be a little bit harsh on yourself, not harsh on yourself, but what's the word? Like cruel to be kind or whatever to yourself. You just have to, you know, be really honest with yourself and say, look, what really matters most here? Do you find it difficult to run or handle with the same pushiness in I can never say this word, damn it. Cumulative. Oh my God, that's so embarrassing. I got a level 9 in GCSE English language and I can't say cumulative. Oh my God, I might have to cut this bit out. If I've left this bit in, you're welcome, because I bet this is giving you a right laugh. You know what I mean? Like classes, right? I'm going to have to like Google Translate how to say that word. I know what it means. Cumulative classes, e.g. the rounds of champ or singles. So when 2 classes go together to create, for example, an overall and the winner goes to Crufts in singles, or the top 20 overall from those 2 rounds go through to the champ final to potentially win the ticket. You get what I mean? That was embarrassing. Anyway, great question. Yes, I do find it difficult. I am currently working on this and I am a lot better at it than I used to be, a lot better, but it is still a work in progress. I want to be able to run every class with the exact same ferocity, no matter what the outcome means for me. I want the way I handle to be the way I handle, no matter what the class is or the outcome is. Okay, I'm getting there. I'm a lot better. For example, I can, I'll push for more blinds. I'll do some more risky handling to shave off time in these important runs these days. But it is still a mental battle. It's almost like our brains are in survival mode. They're going, careful, safety, be safe. This is important when you're actually in the ring. And I've spoken to so many people about this and they have the same thing. They can literally have, in their head before they go in, be hyping themselves up, convince themselves, right, handle it properly, just handle it normally. It's just another normal run. But you're halfway around the course and it gets to the bit that you're a little bit subconsciously worried about. And your brain goes, safe, be safe. It is weird and it's really annoying, but I promise you we're all the same. And you've just got to keep working on it, because I've got so much better by forcing myself to really, really try and put effort in, to this mindset before every run, that it is finally starting to pay off. But it takes a while and it is literally mental practice. It's like a mental workout. You've just got to repetition with it. But yes, I do find that difficult, and I think everyone does. Do you think online coaching is as effective as in-person training? So honestly, I don't think anything quite matches the effectiveness of in-person training. It is just the best kind of training you're going to get. But I also believe that online coaching is a perfect option for someone who either can't find a suitable local trainer, so maybe there isn't a local trainer at all to you, or there's no one that you and your dog click with, which is absolutely fine. Not every trainer and every handler and dog click together. Doesn't mean anything bad about the trainer or the handler. But, it's like you can't like everyone. You can't get on with everyone. You can't, you might like them as a person, but you're just not getting what you want out of them, or you just don't mesh, which is absolutely fine. That's just how life goes. So if you don't have that in your local area, or you want to train with someone specific who isn't local to you but does offer online coaching, then online coaching is literally the second best thing. Another voice break there. And often people do both. So they'll have an in-person trainer and either online coaching from the same trainer to get that support outside of their in-person sessions, because you're not going to have an in-person session with a trainer every day. No one can afford that. So if you have their support online as well as in person, then you get their support in between your sessions, and then you obviously see them in person in your in-person sessions. Or you can train with someone in person and then have a totally different online trainer to do the online stuff with between those lessons. So there is no one way to do it. A lot of people enjoy the flexibility of training online because they can train in their own home, in their own time. It's a bit less commitment in a sense. And yeah. So again, I think it is very effective and a great alternative to in-person if that's not an option or you want a bit more than just your every now and again in-person training. But in-person is always going to be the most, you're probably going to find you get the most out of your in-person sessions. But yeah, again, I think a bit of both is always good. Do you think the new Crufts Singles qualifier format has made it harder or easier to qualify? So first off, I'll just go by my opinion of what I prefer. So personally, I prefer this new format as you don't have to chase qualifying shows throughout the entire year. So there isn't that pressure to travel to Scotland or Ireland 6, 8, 9, 10 million hours away because you feel like you have to keep racking up those points, otherwise someone else is going to overtake you on the table, if that makes sense. I don't like that. I prefer being able to just get it done in one day, okay? And then you can stop thinking about it. And you don't have to like plan your entire year around that, like your entire agility calendar around that. However, as for the actual question, I think it is actually harder as you have to have 2 flawless runs and win overall to qualify. Like in one day, you have to have 2 perfect pretty much runs and win overall. And these classes can be very big, okay? There's like 150 odd in medium or more. At some shows, like at Nottingham and stuff like that. They're very big classes and you have to actually win overall. So you can win one class like I've done, and then, you know, your next run you get even 5 and you're not going to do it, if that makes sense. Whereas before you didn't actually have to win the class to gain points. There was just Crufts Singles agility, and I think it was if you came in the top 10 you got points. So you could come 10th in every single Crufts Singles class throughout the year and probably qualify, if that makes sense. So yes, I actually do think it's harder now, but at the same time it takes away the need to chase, which is hard in itself, committing to all these shows, especially if they're quite far away. So generally I think it is harder, but I actually do prefer it because I don't like thinking that I have to chase shows around the country for that. I've said that about champ tickets as well. I just haven't got to the stage where I want to travel to like Scotland or Ireland just for champ. I think the only way that I'd do that is if I made a proper holiday out of it. So it wasn't just like me travelling all that way just for that. And then, because the pressure, because then, like, I know there isn't pressure, but I'd put pressure on myself subconsciously, which I need to work on, that I'd travelled all this way. And then just to get E'd, I'd be more annoyed about the E, if that makes sense. And it's affording it, isn't it? It's not free to spend all that petrol money. But yeah, yes, I think it's slightly harder, but I actually do prefer it. What weather conditions will you and won't you run in? Great question with the weather changes at the moment. 1 minute it's boiling hot and sunny and the next it's absolutely pissing it down. So if it's an important run, I'll run it as long as there isn't literal snow on the ground or proper like puddles in the ring. Okay? If it's completely unsafe, in my opinion, and remember, what is safe to one dog may not be safe to another, then I will run it. As long as I deem it safe for me and Arrow, I will run it if it's an important run. And even if it's raining and a bit wet on the ground, I deem that still safe enough to run in. But if it's like proper puddled on the ground, or if it's snowy or icy, then I won't run it. If it's a non-important run, so just a standard run, I'm way more lax. I won't run it if it's raining heavily. If it's chucking it down, I'll just not run it. If it's just a normal run, or if the ground is very wet and it's just a normal run, I probably won't bother. Again, everyone is different with that. It's a safety thing, and safe, what is safe, like I said, to one dog isn't for another, and vice versa. And it's literally up to you as your dog's handler and owner to make that call for your individual partnership, and no judgment at all. I don't think there should be any judgment to, what people do and don't running to a certain extent, because, you know, unless it's stupid, unless it's absolutely ridiculously, like, do you get what I mean? Like, common sense is a big part of it, but in general, I think that is everyone's own decision. Someone asks, why don't you try out for WAO? So, EO and AWC are my priorities, and I wasn't sure if I wanted to fork out the money for 3 trips abroad in 1 year. I know that's being very optimistic. That's Ethel barking in the background, you can probably hear. But kind of thinking, got to be prepared. What if I make all 3 of those events? You know, do I want to, and can I afford to do that in 1 year? And up until now, I haven't really been sure about that. Hence why I've only tried out for Team GB for EO and AWC. However, this year I am going to actually try out for the Team England for WAO 2026. I plan to anyway. I've been convinced. I've been influenced. It just looks really fun. It looks like a really, really fun event. The venue looks amazing. The surface looks amazing. Holland isn't too far. You know, it's not like Portugal or Sweden, for example. Holland is fairly local as far as abroad trips go. I've been there to compete before. And yeah, it always just looks so good at that event from what I see online and stuff. And I get a bit of FOMO because it does look so much fun. The courses look epic. So yeah, I am probably going to try out in October this year for next year's team. The only thing is I do have to fit in Arrow's castration at some point. I'd like to this year so that I can stop thinking about that, stop thinking about chemical castration and getting stuff like that done, because Arrow is so much better. When I chemically castrated Arrow, he was so much better behaviour-wise. It really, really helped him. So now I know that it works. I want to get him actually done. So that does have to be fitted in at some point in the season. But at the moment, I am thinking, yeah, I would like to try out for WO next year and kind of just make that part of my agility calendar going forward. Hopefully, as well as my business takes off, I won't have to worry quite as much about affording things. But yeah, saying that, agility is very expensive. I think we all have a bit of that, ooh, with money sometimes, don't we? It is what it is. Last question then. How is Arrow's seesaw suddenly so consistent? My dog's is very hit or miss. I wouldn't say it's suddenly so consistent. Nottingham was 2 weeks ago and he flew the first one at the IQ. But then the Saturday, Sunday of Nottingham, they were all perfect. And the weekend just gone, like I said, at Hinckley, they were all perfect. So it's been a while. It may look all of a sudden if you haven't quite been following our journey with it. But it has taken the past at least 2 months to get it. Well, no, yeah, March. It was terrible in March, April, May. Yeah, about past 2 months, I'd say, to get it to a decent place where it is now. And how I've done that is literally enforcing criteria in the ring. As you know, I've said that so many times and it goes without saying. Redoing the seesaw if criteria isn't achieved. So if he doesn't stop on the end, even if he stops on the end and then releases himself before I say okay, we redo the whole piece of equipment again every time. And then 3 to 5 second hold. 3 to 5 seconds of verbal reinforcement and praise in position before getting released. So in the ring, when he does stop on the end of a seesaw and it's not champ or singles, I hold him on it for 3 to 5 seconds roughly. Obviously, I'm not counting. And give him verbal reinforcement. So, wow, super touch, super target, good boy, stuff like that. And then I release him. And then last of all, I no longer reward him in position in training. Now, this is an interesting one. And it was actually Lucy that told me to try this. And it has worked really, really well. So I used to, when he stopped on his seesaw in training, I would run back in and give him his treats on the end. With the target on the end, I would put the treats there. And I don't think he thought of it as the same thing. Like when he got to competition, there was no target there. And at training, there was always a target there. And he knew at training, there's always fish on the end. So he's going to do it. Whereas at competition, there's never fish on the end. So he's going to do it. But since I've been just doing the exact same thing at training that I do in the ring. So asking him for his target, got that 3 to 5 second hold of verbal reinforcement in position. And then release and finish the course. And then reward. and it's consistently like that at training and competitions, that seemed to work. And it's because I think now he's thinking, oh, this piece of equipment is like this all the time, no matter where I am. So that is how I've improved Arrow Seesaw. And that is all the questions, guys. I hope you enjoyed this month's Q&A. What am I up to in the next week? Literally same as usual, but at the weekend. Thames, I can't believe it's Thames time again. So I'm at Thames Saturday, Sunday. We're hoteling Saturday night. And I'm sure I'll see a lot of you there because Thames is a big one, isn't it? So yeah, more champ, more singles, rinse and repeat. We go again. You know the drill. But yeah, that is pretty much what I'm doing this next week. My weeks are very just work orientated at the moment. Business as usual, nothing overly exciting. But yeah, all good things, positive vibes. If you're feeling generous, please do leave the podcast a 5-star rating and review on Apple Podcasts and Spotify or wherever you listen to your podcasts. Please do keep sending me your topic requests, what you would like me to talk about in future solo episodes. Also, guests you would like me to get on future episodes and what you would like me to talk about with them specifically. I also do offer online coaching. I know we spoke about online coaching in a few questions today. So if you'd like help setting goals for the season or achieving goals, or you've got a bit of a training issue, or you'd just like some support, please do fill out the inquiry form. It is in the description of this podcast episode. Commits you to nothing. We can just have a little chat, see if we're the right fit and if I can help you. If not, no hard feelings, but if so, then fantastic, and let's work together. And then lastly, please also do follow me on all the social media platforms at Pause in Pursuit or Summer Clark. I am on those pretty much every single day, updating you guys on what's going on. You can see literally everything that's going on with me and Arrow over there. And I think that is everything that I tell you in this little outro that I do. But without further ado, I hope you guys have a great rest of your week. I will probably see a lot of you at Thames. And yeah, stay tuned on social media to find out how we get on. And I will speak to you next Wednesday at 8 p.m. Bye, guys.